The following is an original audio series from Sierra International Machinery, Pile of Scrap, with your host, John Sacco.
All right, everybody, welcome to a new episode of Pile of Scrap from Washington, D.C. with the chairman of the Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries, Brian Henesey. Brian, welcome back. You've been on before.
Oh, John, this is my second episode. Yeah. Great to be here. Thank you for having me back. I'm thrilled, excited to talk all things recycled materials in our industry.
Right on. Well, all right, here we are at the ISRI Board of Directors meeting. It's going to kick off tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. And so what's the hot topic, Brian? What is our industry facing? What are we working on?
Oh, sorry. There are many hot topics, as we were discussing a little bit earlier this afternoon. But this year we're having our annual congressional fly-in. And the four main talking points of what we're going to have for our members on it is PFAS, as we all know, is a big forever metal in which we are working with. Also distinct, and also having recycled materials as an essential industry for it. And then we're also going to discuss EVs and electric vehicles and batteries.
Okay, and so, as all these things progress now, the congressional fly-in, I think it's important that people have to understand it's not a Republican issue, it's not a Democratic issue, it's an us issue. Mm-hmm. You have to put your political agenda aside to help our industry. How are you going to let people know? What is your words of wisdom to people who have to understand you have got to get out in front of your politicians?
John, it's a great question. We all as individuals have our political beliefs and our views. But when it comes to our industry and ISRI, we are not Republican, we are not Democrat, we do not have either side of the aisle. We need to focus on our industry. If you look in years back, there was one of the biggest proponents of our industry was somewhat of a controversial figure with the Republicans, and Harry Reid from Arizona. And he was a staunch supporter of our industry. And so as members flying in, we need to look at what's best for the industry, what's best for our association, and separate our politics.
Well, there are bipartisan issues. And to me, there can't be anything more bipartisan than a strong, vibrant recycled materials industry, because we are the main suppliers of raw material to the mills that produce all the products that make the products we use every day. So that's bipartisan. So Correct. Hopefully this trip, this fly-in, we get people and we can get something done in respect to it isn't one party or another. It's one big group getting together and saying, that's right, this industry is essential to our everyday lives.
You're right, John. And we know that recycled materials is critical for infrastructure. We know that we do not have a manufacturing base without recycled materials. We know that, but it's incumbent upon us as members in the industry to communicate the importance of that. Listen, there is no infrastructure bill without recycled materials. And again, we need to get out and communicate it locally, statewide, federal. We're now here for the federal congressional, but we need to get into our schools, our communities.
Well, the schools, yeah, that's a good point. See, I'm a believer that our industry supports so many people of different trades, from engineers, from accounting to electrical. I mean, there's so many different diverse jobs within our industry. And the sooner we can get that into the education system, do people understand in a curriculum that our industry is cool because we're green, we're mm-hmm. sustainable, and the fact is there's huge opportunity all over America with our industry. Mm-hmm. So I believe we need to promote it, and I know ISRI's promoting it. I know you as chairman, that's something important to you.
It is. Recycling's cool again, or it's now cool. Everybody is into recycling, not only nationally, but globally as well. As the world is shifting to electrification, whatever your position is on climate change or circular economy and decarbonization, recycling is the key, if not the key, to having this be successful.
Yeah, so what is it you don't know, or I don't know the exact percent, but there's going to be a huge increase in the need of recycled materials just for the future, for all the EVs that are coming online and all this this reduction of greenhouse gases by going to electric vehicles and changing the way certain equipment runs in plants, be it forklifts, be it whatever, the electricity, and that materials are going to come from our industries. And so how are we going to get that message out, Brian? How are we going to let people know that we have to be out there promoting what we do?
Well, what we're doing, here's a start, right? So you've been doing this for several years.
I have.
But we need, as an association, ISRI, to communicate with our members and help them and assist them to engage within their community. There are smaller companies that are fantastic at running their business, but when it comes to community outreach engagement, that could be intimidating. And so we need to work together as an industry through our association to help lead and help communicate and teach them on how to engage their communities and their representatives.
Are you seeing a shift now, because we talked about it at the convention, about marketing the unmarketable with Adam Weitzman and Andy Golding and myself. We talked about how in the community, are you starting to see, do you think, a shift where people are starting to get more comfortable in discussing what our industry does and getting out there? Are you seeing that? Are you feeling it yet? Or do you think we still haven't even got to ground zero yet on that?
I think we're getting progress, but we have a long way to go. From the methods of delivery of communication of our industry is moving so fast with is social media, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, and members feeling comfortable enough to get out there and share that message. But really, we need members to be more involved. We're not going to promote and progress the education or the word of our industry unless we get more involvement, and we need that. We need it.
Well, I think, people have to be less intimidated. I think it's an intimidation factor because people aren't comfortable, but somebody's got to have somebody in their company who's like, heck yeah, I know how to do this, and get them out there. I think we need to encourage that and keep pushing that message as we go forward. So going forward here, now you've been chairman for over a year now.
Correct. Amazing how fast it goes.
You blink, the convention's coming in Vegas in 2024, and before you know it, you're going to be a past chair.
Correct.
You having fun so far? What's your so far? What is your favorite moment as being a chairman?
Wow, there's so many, John.
Come on, you got to come up with one.
One that really stands out to me is communicating with our members. It's a little different when you're an officer or you're on the board, but when you become chair, it's a different perspective. And when you're the chair, as you get out into the chapters and the regions, or even globally, when trips to India or Europe or Colorado or Texas, the engagement with the members and how they thank you for your work, thank you for your dedication, that's my favorite. It's the most amazing time that I've had.
So you're out there quite a bit. Probably not as natural for you to be traveling like you have been.
No.
So you got a lot more. So where are you going to be in the next few months? What are important events that you feel that you, Brian Henesey, have to be there to help spread the word?
To spread the word? Well, first of all, we have in Denver in October, we're going to have our fall board meeting.
In your home city?
In my home city of Denver, Colorado. It's going to be great. We get a lot of enthusiasm to be in Denver, but we have to communicate the issues. And one of the main issues we're looking at is communicating our lexicon, communicating our message, putting deliverables together for members so we can promote and share our industry, like you're doing. But you're one person, John. But can you imagine if we had 3 more or 5 more doing half or a third of the work?
What if we had...
How we could promote this? It's amazing.
How many members do we have at ISRI now?
We're pushing, at the end of the year, we will have 1,600 members. Cross my fingers, we will be there, but we're around 1,500 at this point.
Well, can you imagine if we had just 50% out there every day promoting? It'll change. And that's going to happen, Brian. I think the message is getting out there. I think people are starting to see the positive effect that it's having. And I'm a realist. An optimist will say the glass half full. The pessimist says the glass is half empty. Well, as a realist, that glass is at half capacity. But I do believe the message is spreading, and so I'm a little more optimistic when it comes to getting the message out, and I think people will be there. So,
John, if I can just...
Yeah, absolutely.
The opportunity we have to promote our message when it comes to the lexicon, which we all are aware of, and changing, evolving in how we communicate outside of our industry, with our schools and our people and our elected officials, but not only here in the United States, but globally, the lexicon in which we in ISRI helped develop. It's amazing at how it's been received globally, and how even though we are recyclers in the United States, but if globally we are all in the same industry, we all have the same issues. And so when they see that we need to communicate better and more effectively with our constituents, and the lexicon was groundbreaking. And it'll continue to evolve.
So, speaking of issues, And we were in May. We were in Amsterdam at the BIR.
Yeah.
So the EU has implemented export controls for recycled metals.
Correct.
That would destroy a vibrant and healthy industry here in America. So what are we doing to prevent export controls coming on in America?
So with respect to the EU export regulation to non-OECD countries, to be a little bit more specific,
what is the non-OECD? Come on now.
Non-OECD countries is the acronym is Economic Cooperative Development of, we will call it countries that are industrial leading countries. But who's not in the OECD is India. I believe China is not in the OECD. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know in India. And so the export restrictions is raw materials or recycled materials are not able to be exported to these countries, and they're doing it under the Basel, or when it comes to waste, or defined as waste. And so critical for us in the U.S., we do not, there is not a mood in our government at this point to follow that, but if it metastasizes globally, it would be detrimental to us.
Well,
we wouldn't have the markets.
In the EU, recycled metals and paper and plastic are considered waste. And I have struggled with this, and part of the docuseries Repurposed is attacking the premise of waste. Waste is what has no further value. Gold is not waste. Gold is an essential metal. Copper is not waste. It's also an essential metal, as is aluminum, as in iron. As in, for that matter, paper's not, obviously it's not metal, but it's essential for the creation of all these products that use recycled paper every day. How are we going to get to the change that recycled commodities are just that, commodities, and cannot and should never be considered waste? How are we going to get there?
Well, with respect to the EU, that's probably beyond our boundaries what we could do. But here domestically, we need to continue to educate. It starts in kindergarten. It starts within the schools. So the educational levels the first. And ISRI has a forum and Jason project where we have a curriculum for teachers to teach recycling. That's one component. Another is to consistently saturate regulators, not only legislators. We have to engage with regulators as well.
Right.
We need to teach them our industry. So it's engagement. It's just, listen, when matters in our industry come up, do you remember the definition of solid waste many, many years ago? And we banded together as an industry, as an association. We were able to work on Capitol Hill and get legislation passed in 1997.
Yeah, that was the SRIA.
Correct, the SRIA Act. But we worked together to get it. So we need to continue, but it's not one issue. We need a paradigm shift in how we think that part of our responsibility is to educate and be engaged.
Well, I think that's paramount to anybody within the industry. And, so many people, so many rely on so few to spread the word. And I think we need to change that around. We need so many out there focusing on the few issues.
I think the time is coming, John, where now we have to. If we look within the states at the regulation and what we're experiencing that's impacting all of our members, the few can no longer be the do all the work. And what's going to happen is the times are going to force all of us to get more engaged. And for all of us to get more engaged, we need a common denominator that keeps us on point, that keeps the issues in front of us, that helps us communicate the issues, and that's what our association is doing now.
All right, so you got a few months left now into your chairmanship. Well, here we are, July, so we got August, September, October, November, December, January, February. You got about 9 months left. What do you want to accomplish in the next 9 months as chairman of ISRI? Besides everything, give me a couple items, Brian, that really you wish to accomplish. So, because when people hear this message, that they can maybe help you achieve this goal of yours.
We continue to operate and are structured as we were in 1987, the merger of NARI and ISIS. The industry has evolved rapidly. Our companies are evolving rapidly. We need to evolve ISRI as well. And we need to evolve ISRI as well to position ourselves better from an advocacy point, and that's one of the meeting topics we're going to have this week, is our structure and our advocacy. We also, frankly, need to take a hard look at our chapter structure, and are we putting the leadership within the chapters in the best position to give services and take care of all members. We need to look at that. I was a chapter president. I recall the challenges and what I had going back 20 years ago, and there's so many more now. So we need to look at our chapter regional to position ISRI best. We need to do it together as an association and as members, and we also need to look at our governance. My goal is by the end of April, we have that addressed, or we have a step or a path forward.
Okay, so it's reorganization of the chapter system is the one thing you want to get accomplished before you
It's one of
hand
the two.
the reins over to Colin.
Well, we have to tie in the governance as well, where we need to go more. We need to shift more from commodity-based issue to overall issue-based. And what I mean by that is, if there's a particular state and there is an EPR bill, extended producer responsibility bill, introduced, and it's geared towards, we'll say, plastics. Right now, we would only focus on a plastic perspective. We need to shift from that type of approach to an issues approach, where if there's an EPR bill that is introduced, it's a plastics bit. We need to look that is going to involve all commodities. Because what has changed in the last 5 years is, from a regulatory and a governance point, is we're all in the same boat. Whether we're paper, plastics, electronics, we are all looked at the same from a regulatory governance issue, and we need to evolve the association to represent our members on issues as opposed to individual commodities. It will make us more efficient, it will make us more effective, and frankly, it will be a better service for all of our members.
Well, right on. I mean, I don't want to say they're lofty goals. I just think it's just part of what has to happen. I mean, we have to evolve. Having been a chairman, it's never easy. You may have your own personal wish list, and you may not be able to get everything you want, but to get a few things is always, you got to chip away at this.
Correct.
I think we got to get better, and I think ISRI has a chance to grow its membership, but grow its influence by membership engaging more with the issues and working in conjunction. Because I think we can't just put everything on the table of our trade association to get everything done, because that's not fair. Because ISRI can't be in every city and every county across this great land of ours. And you can't expect somebody from small town Kansas to expect to figure out what's going on all the time in DC. So we need to work more closely together. And as membership grows, hopefully we're finding new leaders, new people who want to be more involved. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing more people wanting to be involved?
We're seeing more people, and we're seeing energy and excitement. This week, or today actually, we're having a leadership conference, or a leadership forum that's presented by ISRI at the offices. And if you look at the face and the energy and the thoughts and how this younger generation thinks, and I posted it on my LinkedIn, our future is so bright with the leadership we have coming in. But we need to continue to mentor the younger leadership and share from what we did well, what we did not so well, and put them in a position where they can decide what path is best for our association in the future. And I think our future is bright. If you recall, some of the questions we had towards the end is, how do you look at AI? How do you look at some of your environmental concerns? I mean, those are questions that are thoughtful and engaging, and it's fun. It was wonderful.
So as we get ready to go into next year's convention in Las Vegas, anything you can report on what we're trying to do? Anything you can say at this time, or is it still all secret? Yeah.
Well, there's really no secrets. Last we met, it was before the convention in Nashville, and John, we took a little bit of a risk when we about 7 years ago decided to go to Nashville. At the time, hotels weren't finished. The convention center was newer. And frankly, we went outside of our comfort zone as an association. But Chuck Carr, who was then the convention, we'll call full-time staff individual, asked me, what do you think? Do you want to do it? And I said, let's be bold. Let's do it. And fortunately, we had a home run with Nashville. It was fantastic. It was so good that we are contracted to go back to Nashville in 2027. So that most of our members are going to love that. It's going to be exciting. With respect to coming to Las Vegas, we are going to have a new board that's going to be at the end of the convention every 2 years.
Well, that's right. We have an election coming.
We have elections coming.
Oh, my goodness.
And we're going to continue to build upon the success we had in Nashville.
Yeah, so in October, don't we start nominating the new candidates for
Secretary Treasurer?
Oh,
correct.
My goodness, that's right.
Director at large. We'll have a new slate of chapter presidents who will come onto the board, 10, 9, whatever, close to that number. The divisional leadership is going to change. So every 2 years, the board changes. And it's in an even year, so it'll be this year. And we have so many.
It's always exciting times, isn't it?
Oh, God, it is. It truly is. As many in society, we hear about our challenges that we have, and we do. We have many, and we have bright people that will address those challenges. But gosh, John, look at the opportunities that we have. They are unlimited, and we need to see them, and we need to continue to take those challenges.
All right, well, we need to get more people to come to these meetings, to these board of directors. So we're going to be in Denver in October.
Correct.
And then in January, are we coming back to D.C.?
Scottsdale.
Oh, we're going to do Scottsdale.
We'll be in Scottsdale.
Okay, fantastic. Wow.
That's awesome.
It's really close.
It's winter.
to home,
It's winter. It's an easy flight for me.
Yeah, I like
Phoenix
it.
is a big airport.
So we have, I like to encourage people to attend. People as board directors, I can't go. Anybody can go. They need to get involved to see what it is, the governance of ISRI, to see what's going on. And so I highly encourage anybody who's listening to this podcast in the future here, get involved. Come to these meetings. First of all, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are. The networking's amazing.
Yeah, so I just enjoy coming to this. It's like a reunion all the time, getting to see people you haven't seen for a while. I see some people who live only a couple hours away from me. I see them more often at an ISRI event than I see them in my own state, for that matter. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun for me. All right, Brian, final word to you. Give us your final thoughts of what you want people to know here and what you want them to know going forward about ISRI and what needs, what you want. What are you looking for?
What I'm looking for, so I wanted to conclude the conclusion of my chairmanship. My hope is that I contributed to lead this board and this leadership to see a vision of a better association, and we are a trajectory, and we're moving forward, that we have steps to excel and progress the association. I also want to, people with ISRI, is we are here for our members. It truly is. It is not national, it's not chapters and regions. We are truly one association, and my goal is for the betterment of all the members. And that's what's critical to get that out, because frankly, there are some that feel that we're not as doing that as well as we can. But I have a commitment, the leadership coming up behind me, and Chair-elect Colin Kelly, Andy Golding after him, and then Neil Bice, is we have a leadership that has a strong commitment for member value and services and to make ISRI better. And if ISRI's better, our industry's better, and we're all better. And so that's my goal.
Well, fantastic, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for being on the podcast.
Great.
Well, that's it for another episode of Pile of Scrap.
This has been a Sierra International Machinery original audio series. Thanks for listening. Please share this podcast and make sure to subscribe.